God said to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, go on a hilltop boy, youth, and look around you. This is the land that I gave you. Then walk. Or we go on the top of the hill, we look around, we get to know the place. Then we settled at the place.
We are on the way to Metzad Hill, a desolate place between Hebron and Bethlehem. To access the hill, 2 rules. No women, no interviews. Reaching the hill, we can see a few caravans, some youngsters, and sheep, all settled on Palestinian-owned land. This is all part of Israel's new strategy to grab Palestinian land. Driven by a vision of greater Israel and the belief that they are fulfilling a divine mandate, these youngsters follow their leaders blindly.
We dedicate a lot of time to educating the young generation to follow the ideology of redeeming the land of Israel.
These are a group of racist fascists. Who are willing to do anything to impose Jewish supremacy, officially.
Duma is a Palestinian city located in the northern West Bank. In a hot July night, the city became sadly known for one of the worst episodes of settler violence against Palestinians.
يعني بشكل منجذب يعني مش متذكر أشياء كثير يعني بس متذكر إنه التلفزيون صح عليه وقتها واحد اسمه عايد يعني عبر جوانا وطال يظل طلع فيه بس أنا متذكره.
A few years ago in Duma, there was a group of hilltop youth settlers who went to attack the village like they do in many other nights. And they put fire on one of the houses that was inhabited, and the house set on fire, and the parents and the baby son were killed. And the other son was rescued alive, but he lost his family.
The crime was committed by a group of settlers, but only one was sentenced. Amiram Ben Yulial. Itamar Ben-Gvir, now the Minister of National Security of Israel, was his lawyer.
Itamar Ben-Gvir was one of the Hilltop Youth leaders. He arranged many youngsters and educated them to be violent and to attack Palestinians.
But there is more to this story. Months after the Duma attack, a video emerged showing Israeli settlers dancing frenetically while stabbing a photo of the murdered baby at a wedding party. Itamar Ben-Gvir can be seen smiling in the video from the wedding. Outside the courtroom, as relatives of the family burned to death entered, groups of settlers greeted them with the chant, "Where's Ali?" Ali's not here. Ali is on the grill. The settler who was sentenced for burning the family to death is a member of the Hilltop Youth.
The Hilltop Youth of the settlers are dangerous, are provocative, are hostile, are violent, and they have to be contained.
Their ages usually range from their teens to their 20s.
Basically, it is the violent part, a very violent part of the settler movement.
The hills of the occupied West Bank are their battleground, and price tagging is their calling card. They have sworn to sacrifice everything for a land without Palestinians.
Gangs of extreme settlers are raiding Palestinian communities with complete impunity. This is state-sponsored violence. This is violence that is done by groups that could be called militias. Militias of the Israeli apparatus.
These attacks range from destruction to murder.
They believe that God promised the entire land of Israel from the east side of the Jordan as well to the Jewish people, and that we have to exercise our right for this. And if necessary, we can use violence and power and push them out.
ערב טוב ירושלים, ערב טוב עם ישראל, ערב טוב דניאלה וייס.
לא חמאס, לא אש"ף משודרג, לא כוח בינלאומי, לא או"ם, לא אונר"א. רק עם ישראל מיישב את כל חבל עזה ושולט בכל חבל עזה.
Everybody knows them as Hilltop Youth.
Yes.
Who are they?
First of all, if you want to get to know really good, to get to know a Hilltop Youth, you'll have to get to know me.
Daniela Weiss is a very prominent settler, one of the leaders of the settler movement, and one of the most extreme leaders of the settler movement.
I have been involved in building, establishing settlements since the 67 war. In 1967, the miraculous war of 67.
War in the Middle East. Israeli forces drive spearheads across the Sinai Peninsula, west to the Suez Canal, south to the entrance of the Gulf of Aqaba, breaking the blockade, capturing the west bank of the Jordan River, and occupying...
2 o'clock in the afternoon, when I heard the alarm telling that we ought to go to the shelters. And then I understood it was the word of God telling his people, myself as part of the Jewish nation, that we haven't done enough for redeeming the land of Israel.
What if politicians decide that you should leave?
No chance whatsoever that we will live here. If it costs us our life, it will cost us our life, and no chance.
I mean, if the state...
If they'll have to kill us. We have built here 250 new Jewish communities. In these communities, there live 500,000 Jews, 500,000 Jews. And more coming all the time. And in the eastern neighborhoods of Jerusalem, another 350,000 Jews. So we are getting closer to the 1 million. We will be 2 million here. No chance whatsoever for establishing a Palestinian state.
And it sums up the story we are going to tell you. war on Gaza has been raging for months. Relentless, devastating, brutal. But the Israeli war on Palestinians has a second front. Equally relentless, equally violent.
There is a small, less-known war that is being waged in the West Bank as well, not only in Gaza. It is lost to the international and domestic public. But what we've seen happening and unfolding in the West Bank is really horrendous. So not only now the settlers are being violent against the Palestinians, but they do it with uniform and guns from the army.
الولاد هذول بدهم الولاد هذول رويهم الهديمة الثانيين مش نفسي لو قاتك ما نصلش لي رقة شو مالك يا شو مالك شو سووا معاه شو صار معاه شو بقى تسووا انتوا كنت رحلة تبي مشترى خلي قوم يوم لا شكلها تسمير في مالدين يعني بتلال متحلين بحفظ راك يا نديم ما زي تتبايشون والله انا تتبايشون تتبايش يا بشاع تطلعون بشاع بس في ابوه في ابوه يعني فتش محمود يا فتودا
And they use the power they have in IDF uniform, using IDF weapons to further their ideological goals. And that means going into villages, very aggressively questioning people, threatening people, making it very clear that if you don't move within a certain amount of time, we're going to force you to, we're going to harm you in some kind of way.
We spent 22 days in the occupied West Bank, meeting the settlers and their leaders. We saw Israel's new weapons and strategies to force Palestinians to leave their land. And we also discovered its surprising allies. The occupied West Bank is a dangerous labyrinth.
Yeah. Let's see if it's soldiers or settlers that are soldiers.
We need the settlers' trust if we want to move around. We try our luck here in the Israeli parliament, where many settler leaders hold seats. We came to meet him.
שלום וברכה, קוראים לי צבי סוכות, בן 33, נשוי פלוס 6, תושב היישוב יצהר, ומשמש כאן כחבר כנסת מטעם מפלגת הציונות הדתית בבית הזה.
And what does he think about settlers' violence against Palestinians?
אלימות זה דבר פסול, אלימות זה דבר רע, זו העמדה שלי, וזו העמדה אגב של רוב המוחלט, רובם המוחלט של היהודים שחיים ביהודה ושומרון.
But there's more to his story than he's revealing.
Tzvi Sukkot was an extreme right-wing hilltop youth who became a parliament member, which is crazy.
And unfortunately and shamefully, he is now a member of the Israeli parliament. But it's like a radical, violent person taking part in intimidation of Palestinians.
This is a natural product of the alliance between Bibi Netanyahu and the Messianic groups.
Next day, he invites us to meet him in the settlement where he lives. Built in Palestinian stolen land, Itzar was and remains one of the most violent settlements in the West Bank. A bastion of Messianic Zionism in its most extreme form. Flags and posters lining the road to Itzar proudly proclaim the Zionist presence in the occupied West Bank. There are several Palestinian villages just beside the road, a step away from Yitzhar. They are as quiet as ghost towns, and there is a reason for that. The constant attacks coming from Itzar. The Israeli army is here everywhere, protecting the settlers. He is waiting for us.
זה כל מדינת ישראל. זה ירדן, הערים שם זה ירדן.
The Israeli settlers plan to seize more land beyond the Palestinian West Bank in Gaza, aiming to restore what they claim are the biblical borders of Israel.
The borders of the Jewish state are the borders that were promised by God to Abraham, from the Euphrates to the Nile.
But it includes parts of some...
From Syria, from, of course, many countries. We have our Bible. This is the only document that matters. We do want to try to do it as much as possible, hand in hand with the nations of the world. But when the nations are too tough with us, then we do have some liberal measures we live by.
Just down the hill from the Itzar settlement is Hawara, a target of constant attacks from the settlers.
Palestinian media said some 35 homes and 90 cars were torched by some 400 settlers.
Hundreds of Israeli settlers attacked the city, setting cars and homes on fire and killing a Palestinian man. A top Israeli official has called for the Palestinian village of Hawara to be wiped out or erased.
זה מקום יפה, נחמד, ויש פה בעיה קטנה שיש איזה כמה מאות אלפי אנשים שגרים לידינו שרוצים להשמיד אותנו, אבל חוץ מזה ממש נהדר.
Some of the boys came to the town of Hawara and they burned some cars and some shops, but on the edge of the village, they didn't even wound them. They didn't even slap in the face. They just wanted to react. So if this is to be condemned, I think not.
We're near Emmanuel's settlement, at the northern end of the occupied West Bank. Our destination is a place that Israel is hiding from the public eye.
Here it's called Chavat She'orim, or Se'orim.
This is in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
See, I promised to bring you to the middle of nowhere, where no one else even knows this exists.
Yeah.
What we're about to see is the most successful land grab strategy since the 1967 war. This is an outpost, Israel's way to bypass international law.
These are what's called outposts. Some of them are really just a caravan on a hill or a little tent or something like that, but some of them just like regular settlement.
שב. זהו, עכשיו זה ייראה פחות בית, אבל זה בעצם כאילו כשעלינו לפה, הבאנו רק את הרכב. שקט! הבאנו רק את הרכב, יש פה בעצם כאילו מקום למיטות, אחרי זה יכול לצלם, ולמיטה לבן שלנו, היה פה מדפים לבגדים. וזהו, שירותי מקלחת פה, לפתוח. אחרי זה. בעצם כאילו פה השירותים במקלחת. כיור לבוקר.
One family and a few youngsters, they take a hilltop and they start to harass the Palestinians all around it. They usually will grow some flocks, sheep, or whatever to go out to the fields and to violently to push away the Palestinians from their farmland.
It's not just a few crazy settlers on a hilltop. It's very much with the support of the State of Israel. We're taking entire areas of the West Bank and making sure that they can't become part of a future Palestinian state.
אני מאמינה בתנ"ך ואני מאמינה שארץ ישראל שייכת לעם ישראל. זו ההבטחה של אלוהים לאברהם, וארץ ישראל זה ארץ ישראל השלמה.
Settlements are considered illegal under international law, but legal under Israeli law. Outposts, however, are illegal even under Israeli law. Yet the state provides them with water, electricity, and security.
Our approach as the military is that the moment we have Israeli citizens, Jewish settlers, right? We have to protect every settlement outpost in every crazy place.
היינו בחוות יתידות 3 שנים, שם נחשפנו לכל הנושא של השמירה על הקרקעות, ואז חשבנו על האזור הזה כי הכרנו אותו, ידענו שזה קרוב לעמנואל, ידענו שכל האזור פה זה אדמות מדינה ושמורת טבע של נחל קנה.
The way we make land to become state land is a very, very, I would say, ugly way, not honest. We make it harder for the Palestinians to cultivate their land, and then the land is not cultivated, so we can declare it state land.
If Prime Minister Netanyahu calls me now and says, Daniela, we need to establish now a new outpost on a strategic hill. Are you ready to go? I'm always ready to go to establish a new hill. Not only am I ready, it's my constant dream.
From the northern end of the occupied West Bank to its southern hills, we are moving to the settlement of Bat Ayin. Or to be more exact, to a place on the outskirts of the settlement, hidden from public view. But in order to get there, we need to meet him first. Mir Even Tov, one of Hilltop youth leaders in this area.
בתקופה הזאת יש התעוררות גדולה לארץ ישראל. יש מאות של נקודות שעלו לשטח בשנים האחרונות, וברוך השם מבצעים את העבודה. יש עוד הרבה עבודה, אבל נבצע הכל בעזרת השם. אנחנו נוסעים לגבעת עובדיה, שזה מקום שאשתי ואני עובדים עליו כבר 2.5 שנים. ההר כבר בידי עם ישראל, תכף גם הוא יפרח. ענק!
Is this the police?
No, it's the security of the organization of this village. דוד, מה שלומך? אתה? הלאה, ברוך השם טוב. סרט יהודי, לא... ליצור בלגנים בין הכוחות, אנחנו נעלה למעלה, לאיפה שהגבעה הישנה, לא... אל תצלם את העמדה, אוקיי? עקצת להם את העמדה, תעשה לי באמת טובה. תסביר להם, זה בשביל להיות בארץ ישראל, צריך... ארץ ישראל נקנית בייסורים, במיוחד ליהודייה. תרגיל. כן. כולם מוכנים, מקסימום. מחכים לטבח הגדול, האמיתי. מי זה פעם מאדום? אל תצלם אבל.
What is happening down the hill that they don't want us to film? We were able to get visual evidence with the help of a hidden camera, and this is what they don't want us to film. Settlers receiving military training to terrorize the Palestinians in the surrounding area.
זה נקרא מאחז, כן, פה זה נקרא הגבול.
מה זאת אומרת הגבול?
כאילו פה זה הגבול החדש, כאילו. כל מאחז הוא בעצם מייצר קו גבול חדש יותר, תופס שטח יותר. בדקתי במפות וראיתי שזה נקודה אסטרטגית. והחלטנו לכבוש אותה. נקודה ממש אסטרטגית פה באזור. כשהיעד זה לעלות פה בעצם, לכבוש את כל הרכס, שזה הרכס הכי גבוה פה בגוש הזה.
Is he ready, for example, to kill?
אני חושב שדם ואדמה זה די בא ביחד, כן. אם נצטרך להרוג, אז נהרוג. כל ההר הזה זה בשביל היהודים שיבואו ממונסית, ככה זה הבדיחה פה בין החבר'ה. אנחנו נגיע גם לשם, כבר הגענו לשם, אבל נגיע לשם גם בתור בעלי הבית.
To access this place, we had to accept some rules. One of them, not to film the structure that is being built down the hill by the settlers. However, we were able to film it from a distance. The question is, what are they building? And so we give it a try.
So this is for security, yes, or what is this?
This is for security and for the attack. It's the... נקודת כינוס גם, של צה"ל. כאילו פה בחטא הזאת הם פתחו פה והם עושים פטים ויורדים לכפר כל לילה.
The village he refers to is Surif, a Palestinian village. And this is what he talks about. Israeli settlers go down to the village at night to insult and harass Palestinians, to make sure they will leave their land.
This is police helicopters or military?
What? המסוק?
המסוק, כן.
לא, בדרך לעזה, עזה קרוב, לא רחוק אז.
When you see the images of Gaza, how do you feel?
אני מתחיל להיות שמח. צדיק יחזן הקם, אמר בלחץ בדם הרשע, אומר דוד המלך, שהיה האיש הכי עדין בעולם.
The only thing who can save us is to understand that this is our destiny, this is a divine war. How you win a war? You conquer the land of the enemy, or you kill the enemy. This is how you win the war. My name is Nati Rome. I'm a pioneer. I established a few of the communities here, and I'm a lawyer.
A pioneer, what usually people call settler.
Exactly.
The first time we met, Nati Ram chose the place. The ancient city of Shiloh in the occupied West Bank. His choice was not accidental.
Listen, we are in a historical place. We are here in Shiloh. 369 years, this was the first capital of Israel. Everywhere you dig here, you find history coins from the Second Temple time, from the First Temple time. So, of course, there is no such a thing called Palestine.
Nati Ram is a prominent figure in Hasbara, the Israeli public diplomacy strategy used to control the narrative and information manipulation. He travels around the world to spread the settlers' message. He brings groups of tourists from abroad to promote a favorable view of the settlements. Nati Ram is also a lawyer.
Another person that we interviewed is your colleague, Nati Ram.
Yeah, colleague, yes. He's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer.
And that is all that is same or shared by us.
Most of his clients are members of the Hilltop Youth.
Law enforcement on settlers, to the degree that it happens, is a theater, is cosmetics. So when Nati Ram needs to go to court, that is only because the government has to be able to say we're doing something about it, but without a real intention to do something about it. And that is why most of his clients end up with nothing, not even a slap on the wrist. The pioneers, what you call the youth of the hilltops, are good people who follow the path of the Torah, of the Bible, and want to live here in peace.
A few days after this interview, and after he cleared us, we were finally invited to his settlement, Esh Kodesh. What they call the heartland of Israel is, in fact, built on privately owned Palestinian land. Do you remember Duma? Do you remember the Palestinian family burned to death by settlers? The attackers came from this area, and they continued to descend the hill to attack Duma.
I just want to explain to you that in the beginning, it was only this bus for the first 2-3 years. Shotland vineyards in the mountains of Samaria. תראה איזה נבואה ואיזה דבר מטורף. So it's written in the prophecies, Shotland vineyards in the mountains of Samaria. Yes. And here we are in the mountains. When we started, nobody even believed we have a chance to do something with it. It's an amazing part of the sign of the redemption of the prophecies. And millions, more than millions all over the world believe in those prophecies and want to be a part of it. As much that the vineyard is suffering, the fruits in the wine is better. So hopefully Hashem will redeem us, that we will be better without suffering too much. B'ezrat Hashem. Listen, we have a promise from Hashem in the prophecy that the third redemption will be the eternal one. It's not again to go and back. So hopefully we are now in the eternal one.
If you have to leave this land, will you fight back?
But I will fight with everything I can to stop this decision, the stupid decision. It will bring more blood. More people will be killed because of those stupid decisions. איזה יופי,
He came to visit the soldiers guarding the hill overlooking Duma. It is clear who is in charge.
יש לו כל מיני מזוני ביטחון, יש לך את זה, אתה יכול לקחת כדור הקנה עם הגנה.
וואלה.
יש לך...
עושים איזה משהו מרפארי.
לא נראה לי שצריך, אבל מה, זה אקדח בסופו של דבר. אתה יודע? לא, מה פתאום, זה אקדח. יש לך 30 כדורים במקום שתירת. כן, זה נראה משגעים אותי.
Among the soldiers on this hill is a British citizen.
But you have to be Israeli to serve in the army, no?
You do and don't. There's things called lone soldiers, which are people that come from abroad and can be soldiers in the Israeli army. It's like the French Foreign Legion.
Nadi Ram, unaware of being recorded, explains to soldiers how he convinces tourists to support settlers.
כל אחד קוסטומייד, אבל יש לנו גם... אני עושה ב-VIP. מאוד אוהב את זה. מסתובב, אדם, הפנים הלבנים, הפל הרשש, הפנים הלבנים, אוכל טוב בקפה רותם, עולה אחרי זה לאיתמר, על שכם. כן, עולה לאיתמר, שכם, מגיע יין טוב, אנחנו עושים יין מעולה. כל אחד בעניין שלו. אין לנו סיכוי שם, אנחנו בידינו על התחתונה. יאללה, thank you so much. שעוד חברים, שתדעו ומצאו.
Yehuda Shimon is one of the settler leaders in the northern part of the occupied West Bank.
There is no settlers. There is communities and there is a people, they just live like everybody, every place in the world. Do you see an Arab village or Arab city? There is a fence around? No. Why? The Arabs know everything go. And you know what? It's not just terror. This is a life way. That's the way they live. They kill all the time. If there is no Jewish, okay, let's kill each other. Okay, but we must to kill someone.
Havat Gilad, the settlement where he lives, is part of a well-planned occupation.
Building settlements in specific places which fragment areas of the West Bank so that it's impossible for Palestinians to have some kind of contiguity and using that contiguity to build up what might one day be a state.
You must to know something. Every Arab village, they are not legal here. We must to kill them. I couldn't see a way that we could keep them alive.
Deeply religious, the settlers follow the commandments to the letter.
My name is Yoshua Mordechai Schmidt.
You are a rabbi?
Yes. The Torah said in the mitzvot that we must to be here and to build this place. I think that they should go Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Iran, Sudan, Qatar. A lot of country of Arabs. Why they stuck in Israel?
Some of them came from Egypt, returned to Egypt. Some of them are friends of Erdogan, will go. Some will go to Britain. Some will go to North America, South America, Indonesia, which is the biggest Islam. But not here. Here they proved to be impossible in the Middle East.
We are moving from the northern occupied West Bank to the southern Hebron Hills. Accompanying us is former Israeli soldier Nadav Weizman.
And I joined the IDF in 2005. I served in the Special Forces. Yeah, me and my team were snipers, and inside the snipers team, everybody was snipers, and I was the spotter. It means that my job was to find the target.
Do you feel any regrets from the time you were in the army?
Of course. I did things that, as a democratic citizen, I think you're not supposed to do. I cannot fix what I did, but I can try to fix what is happening now. So we're driving on route number 60. It's the main road of the West Bank, goes from north to south. And on our right-hand side, it's Hebron, the second largest Palestinian city in the West Bank. 230,000 Palestinians are living over there. Hebron is the only Palestinian city with a settlement inside of it. All of the different settlements are on hilltops, on valleys, on the outskirts of Palestinian cities. But in Hebron, you have a settlement of 650 settlers that are, most of them declare themselves, they are Kahanists. They believe in the ideological views of the Rabbi Meir Kahana. Basically, they believe in Jewish supremacy. And they are very, very violent settlers.
So I grew up in a settlement in the West Bank, in a religious, very right-wing family. When I joined the army and I was serving in Hebron, I didn't know anything else but the settler narrative and the narrative that I grew up on. Fences and walls and soldiers everywhere around the settlements, but these soldiers, they're not only defending the settlement. And it took me a lot of years later to realize that this is not normal. And it took me a lot of years to realize that Hebron is a Palestinian city. The street is closed for Palestinians. They're not allowed to walk on it. Even Palestinians who live in this street, they are locked in their houses and they are not allowed to go through their front door and walk on this street. And that's for years now.
You must keep them with the heads down. And the situations of the house to the entering house is one of the situations where you really get them without any chance to react. Suddenly you have 15 soldiers in your house with weapons and everything, and you just wake up and your children are screaming and crying. In Hebron is a microcosmos where you can understand how the occupation happens in the other parts of the West Bank.
If you had the chance, would you apologize to the people in Hebron?
I would say it's an interesting question, and I never thought about it, but I wouldn't bother to apologize to the Palestinians.
After the metropolitan of Hebron, we'll go down south even more to the south, to the southernest point of the West Bank, to an area that is called Masafer Yatta. There's a couple of settlements and a lot of unauthorized outposts here in the area, and a lot of settler violence along the years. So all of the Palestinians over here, if they want anything, to dig a new water system, to pave a road, to build a school, they need the authorization of the civil administration, the branch in the IDF that is in charge of all of the bureaucracy of the occupation. So Palestinians in sea territories, they just don't get building permits. And if they don't get building permits, they get demolition orders, right? Because everything they build over here is illegal. And then the IDF come and demolish. So the first thing, by the way, the civil administration demolishes over here in the South Urban Hills area, water systems and toilets. Toilets, yes, toilets. Because if you demolish the water system to a community in the desert, you don't need to demolish all of the things, right? All of the houses, all of the tents and caves, because they don't have water. They cannot live over there. And we don't want to put Palestinians on trucks like the photos from 1948. We want them to live by themselves, exactly. Zanuta used to be a Palestinian cave dwellers village of between 200 and 300 people. And it's a village with a school. They suffered attacks from settlers all of the time, but also demolition of the civil administration as well. About a month and a half ago they left, after they lived over here more than 100 years. Look at this, I don't know how to read Arabic. Look at that panda, I'm guessing it was, on the wall. I don't know what it even says. By the way, look how much the community from Zanuta are afraid. They didn't come and take the school books or the tables, nothing. They just left. And they're afraid to come back.
But we will not be able to visit or film Zanuta. Someone wants us out of here.
אנחנו מבקשים לכם בבקשה להתקפל.
הבנתי. למה יש לך מסכות על הפנים?
כן, אתה מצלם אותי ולא בא לי שתצלם. חייב שתצלם אותי?
מה?
חייב שתצלם אותי?
ישראל,
דמגוגיה שאתה עושה פה, או הקרקע
שאתה... אני חושב שאני לא מעם שלך?
לא, אתה לא מעם שלי,
וואלה.
אתה לא מעם שלי, חד משמעי, אתה לא מעם שלי.
כן? זה מה שאתה אומר?
חד משמעי.
כחייל בצבא ההגנה לישראל, זה מה שאתה אומר עליי?
חד משמעי.
כן?
אתה לא מעם שלי, נקודה.
He has a skull. He has a skull on his uniform.
These guys are from which unit?
It's a unit that they're called Agmar. Agmar, it's settlers units. It means that I'm a settler here, and then I put uniform, and now I'm a soldier over here.
We moved far from Zanuta to interview Nadav, but the settlers sent someone to follow us.
They are also?
Yeah. Also army.
It's army.
מי אתה? אהלן, איזה אישורים צריך? איזה אישורים צריך? אז אני שואל אותך, איזה אישורים צריך?
אתה עדיין לא מכבד אותי, זה לא משנה, אתה עדיין לא מוכן לעשות דבר ששומר עליך. אבל מאז 7 באוקטובר, מה שאתה עושה פה, בקהילות הפלסטיניות? אני לא עושה שום דבר כזה. וואלה. אני ממש לא עושה. יודעים שמוכרים לך אחרת. אני ממש לא עושה. אני שעושה בשבילך כמה שאני יכול כדי לשמור על הביטחון שלך. כמה שאני יכול. אבל עדיין, בכל זאת, אתה לא מבין שאנחנו אותו דבר. או שאני אבא.
אנחנו שנינו ישראלים.
אוהב הלב שאתה... אבל אני ואתה... עושים לנו כולכם את התעמולה הרעה הזאת.
The next morning, a Zionist pro-settler organization posted the video on social media, labeling Nadav a traitor. Our journey across the occupied West Bank is coming to an end. But there's still something important to cover. We were invited to a closed-door conference. We left Jerusalem, heading to Yavin, just a step away from Gaza. The main settler organizations are holding a conference near the border to select the first Jewish families to settle in Gaza. We are the only media invited to cover it.
ברגע שאני שומע את אותם הפצצות בעזה, אני מרגיש שהעם שלי חזק. משמידים את הרע בעולם.
As we hear Israeli bombs falling on Gaza, they already discuss how much land each family will take, and the destiny of the people of Gaza, the exile.
ניתן לגרש אותו ומותר להשתלט עליו. זה שלנו. זה שלנו והשם רוצה אותנו מתיישבים שם. למקום נפלא לגדל את הילדים, דרך אגב בסוף בהתחלה לא יהיה צפוף שם, כל אחד יהיה לו דונם, יהיה מאוד מרווח, לפחות דונם.
לא! משנה מה אנחנו, אבל זה לא מספיק. לא אחד ולא שתיים חדשים. כל אחד מפה. אז מי זה טוב? אתה אומר שנותנים לו לישון בשקט. אתה לא תישון בשקט. אני לא אתן לך לתכנן את עזה. עזה היא שלנו.
That same night, while Gaza is relentlessly being erased, they took a boat with the first families, ready to occupy the land of those who are being killed and starved to death.
המטרה של גרעיני ההתיישבות להתקרב ככל האפשר לעזה, לראות את עזה כולה ולהבין שמעתה והלאה עזה תהיה כולה יהודית.
בעזרת השם, עם ישראל ינצח ונזכה לבנות ולראות בשוב השם לציון ובשוב עם ישראל לחבל עזה. אתם מרגישים את הגלים החברים, הצעידה משתלטת